we go, Carrie, let's begin before we move into a practice of equanimity. Let's see if we can't take a moment, just dropping into your own heart mind, and see if you can't find some language. We're just going to share it in a pop out. Remember, we've used a lot of words, and we're just going to cultivate a space, a spaciousness for equanimity first. So you're just going to drop into this body. And I want you to feel for its resting point or points. We're going to open and include the spaciousness, the stillness. I can really feel it this morning. That is all around us and within. Even with the realities of sound, there is room and space for sound. There is room and space, unwavering space and stillness for thoughts. We're just going to simply let them arise, abide in the space, and pass away. There's room as well for sensations. Sensations then that are pleasant, some sensations that are unpleasant, sensations that are merely perceptible. All thoughts, all sounds, all sensations, all emotions, letting them be as they are. And then from that place of still, quiet, gentle spaciousness, I'd like you to call out one of the words you've heard and that make contact with your experience this morning for this reality, not the concept of equanimity, but it's boundless, always abiding, always present, and always available reality. And then call it out loud enough that we can all hear it.
Light.
Making contact, staying in contact, sustaining mindfulness in the present moment with life and you exactly as you are. Unwavering, imperturbable, even balanced, and remember, we've also used the words of what equanimity does not fall into. It does not fall into reactivity, into preference or prejudice. No bias, no self, no one to whom life is happening. Interconnected, interbeing, an essential part of the whole. And so we will continue then to cultivate these qualities. We have used the large tree of Julia Butterfly Hill, resting for 2 years in a redwood tree. We have used the ocean, still, silent at its depth, holding all waves, all movement, all energies, from a pebble drop in a pond to a raging tsunami, that we can be steady, steadfast, stable, easeful, calm, and abiding of it all. And so we will sit. May this practice be of benefit to all beings everywhere without exception, without exception, omitting none. And for this practice, we're going to begin by really at the base or the root, by inclining the mind towards the stillness of this body sitting here. And then within that stillness, there is a gentle movement, the movement of life. Animating us. And we let the breath enter from that vast open space, abide within the body, and then leave. We're going to hold the breath for a moment larger than this limited but precious body. letting the body soften with each out breath. Letting it be energized, enlivened with each in breath. But staying in contact with this one breath. We don't pull at the breath, we don't reject the breath. We have established this body easefully so that we can simply abide calmly. This breath arriving, this breath being, this breath releasing. And settle back into your seat. We are not uh, moving forward into the next breath. We are not overly slackened, resting back in the last breath. We are perfectly in loving, gentle presence. In this one breath. With the in breath, the body is moved upwards towards the heavens and downwards to be grounded and rooted deep into the earth. Feel the felt sense. Settled with each out breath and enlivened, awakened, inspired with each in breath. See if you can make contact with the center point within this breath. Where do you notice this within the body? Neither towards or against, neither up or down, equanimous, centered, balanced, unwavering. Rest the mind there. We don't resist the movements, and neither are we carried away by it. We are centered, stable, grounded. And even in this, there is no bias, there is no preference, up or down, full or empty, rising or falling. Finding that still, open, spacious, and boundless refuge of equanimity. We might imagine ourselves a living, breathing mountain, held both by the earth and the heavens. There is a solidness, a nobility, a majesty, and an uprightness in the quality of this mountain. With each out breath, the mountain, its stability, its rootedness grows deeper and deeper into the earth. The mountain knows its place, its part. Feeling the groundedness, your own groundedness, and your own essential part of this earth. Feeling the feet growing deep roots into the earth. Feeling this ever present seat, stable and steady, unshakable. Feeling the uprightness, the majesty, the peak of the mountain touching the sky. Embodying mountain. No resistance, no reactivity, but still. This living, breathing mountain of you. There is no rigidity, no fixity. The mountain gently moves. There is light and dark upon the mountain, rains and storms and clouds and sun. And in all the weather, the mountain simply sits. Letting it be. Plants grow and die on the mountain. Animals are born and die. Travelers arrive and leave. There are cars, there are hikers, there's weather, maybe even tunnels and trails. And in all of this, the mountain simply sits. We breathe this mountain breath, we embody the mountain, and we hold the spacious heart mind of the mountain, abiding all change. The mountain is warmed by the day and cooled by the night. Day leads to night, leads to day. Spring to summer to autumn to winter, year after year, moment by moment. Continuous change. And the mountain abides all things. Stable, solid, rooted, majestic, all embracing mountain. Mountain body is Buddha body. Mountain breath is Buddha breath. Mountain being Buddha being. Open to all change, rejecting none. Peaceful and still. And then for a moment, I'd like you to call to mind a current challenge, a current change, maybe an uncertainty. Inviting it to be held by this mountain being. And see if we can't make contact with the mountain body that can open and embrace it. Seeing if we can invite the mountain breath, centered, stable, still, and capable of breathing it in, letting it be, and then resting with it on the out breath. Cultivating the heart mind of the mountain. Stable, present, open, spacious, and abiding. Imperturbable, unshakable mountain. Upright and rooted, receptive, yet still. Abiding, present mountain. May we remember the qualities of the mountain that are ours. And then we can talk about the view. The view from the mountain. And what is that?
Peaks, I see peaks.
Peaks. That is of the mountain. What do you see from that peak? Kind of like the 16th, Joko's 16th floor.
Other
It
peaks.
does matter. Yeah,
Yeah, all
some
kinds of peaks.
lot of peaks, many peaks, more than just your own.
Yeah.
Certainly, right? Vast, spacious,
Stormy.
can be. All of it. Isn't it? All of it. Snowy and sunny, stormy and calm. And then what throws you?
Like
Lightning. It's called life, right? The lightning bolt of life. Can you see the benefit of cultivating really and then remembering these qualities? Leanne says lush green and beautiful.
I could definitely start it off. Now think of a
Yeah,
situation,
yeah,
and I just went,
Yep.
not that.
yeah. I don't want that. I don't like that. Not my preference, not what's right. We could go there. And how do we hold all that? So that we have that mountain view, because the solution, the benefit, we would say, the possibility, the potential only lies from that view. Right? Not as we're tumbling down the mountain. It only, this is some of the teachings suggest it is the view itself that is essential. That if we get lost in my situation, my preference for the situation, my liking or not liking, my self-making, we will tumble. We will become rigid, fixed, brittle, I guess you could say, right? And then certainly contracted in it. So this is just one more example, right, of all the ones we have used so far, including the earth element now, the earth element of the mountain as a way of abiding, cultivating these qualities, inner and outer qualities for yourself. How then, Cindy is posing, how then do you hold the reality in this mountain-like way? Because life is hard. There is illness, aging, death, war, conflict, confusion, unsettledness, right? So then can you see how we can begin to greet these things? And what I know for myself is that I need those qualities before I turn towards, right? So I cultivate that first. I don't know if it's possible to get into the middle of the tangle too easily and then get twisted and then find our way. I think it can be very complicated. Especially if we don't then recognize that we're tumbled or jangled or lost, and then what? Take a step back, setting back into, right, the body, back into stable mind, back into open, spacious heart for one's self. Beginning always, right? Born with one's self. And then we simply rest in that breath.
Like the mountain. Because the mountain, it doesn't waver.
No.
Clouds, there can be sun, there can be storms, there can be wind. What does the mountain do? It's just there.
Yes. Yes. Being mountain, whatever that is, right? It's not being something else either, by the way. These are qualities that actually exist within you. It's an important understanding. Because sometimes we imagine I've got to become something. No, you are actually. These are the qualities of your true nature. How do we remember them? How do we rest in them? How do we breathe them? What did I say? How do we embody them? How do we take on the qualities of the heart mind? Right, because they are, in fact, we are capable of this. This is not something else. It is not other than our humanness. It is, in fact, right. You, O nobly born. Right. Remember who you really are. Nobly born, like the mountain, with these capabilities and qualities. And then what do we do when we can't find them in the moment of being tossed, tumbled, right? This is our human reality as well, our vulnerability. What can we do then? Hold ourselves, right? Then we hold ourselves in it. We offer that to ourselves. And often we mistake, I think, the mountain is something we need to be for others, don't we? It's kind of a, I have to be this very quickly, I think, taking on a fixity, isn't it? And then a rigidity and almost a pushing away, a pushing against, with, right, a bracing quality rather than this abiding in itself quality, which means there is room then for everything, including your own shaky tenderness. Wouldn't it be? And what else would we do but hold it? Right? And that's where the stillness, right, in the really quality of certain willingness to say, yes, this too, this too. You get this idea? Roshi Joan, right, says that soft front, right, strength, strong back. Really, this is the quality, I think, of the mountain, actually. It allows all kinds of play upon its surface, doesn't it? It is not rejecting, rigid in any way, which means we could hold ourselves in our terror, in our contractedness, in our vulnerability, in our not liking, in our, right, whatever that is. The mountain is not rejecting of any of that.
Training is necessary.
I think so. I think so. And thus we train, right? And thus we train in this to strengthen, to cultivate, to remember, to grow these very qualities. I agree. I'm not hoping to What's that group that Pete does? What's that called? He does a uh, theater, improv. Improv. I am not hopeful of improv at the moment of death. I'm not that hopeful. I really want a little bit more under the belt, as they say. So, and improv may be useful to the moments I can't. We're right. We can't know. We can't guarantee. We can't predict. We're right. Maybe really every moment is improv, but it'd be certainly nice to have a couple skills. Yeah, couple. I'm going to read. I'm going to see if I can't find it. Let's see. So the Buddha had some thoughts about this. Oops, I can't get to that. Carrie, can you let me be co-host? And then I'll see if I can't find this. I think it's right here, actually. Let's see. Ah, I have found it. I have found it. The group can't see it, but I think it can. So this is the Buddha on equanimity. As a solid mass of rock is not stirred by the wind, so a sage is not moved by praise or blame. As a deep lake, we have used the lake, is clear and undisturbed, so a sage becomes clear upon hearing the Dharma. Virtuous people always let go. They don't prattle about pleasures and desires. Touched by happiness and then by suffering, the sage shows no sign of being elated or depressed. Who is the sage? That's you. That's you. And then you have already heard me recite the equanimity phrase. Being born of my deeds, heir to my deeds, my happiness or unhappiness depends upon them, not upon my or others' wishes for me. This does not mean we don't offer blessings, though, does it? It's a misunderstanding, so we have to be careful.
I might be misunderstanding that. Are you saying your happiness depends on your deeds?
Yes, your actions. Born of your actions, heir to your actions. Your actions are the ground upon which you stand. Your happiness or unhappiness depends upon them, not upon my wishes for you. It is not sufficient. And it doesn't mean we shouldn't offer blessings. We don't, right? We do. We wish for one's ease, happiness, and well-being. But we also understand that that alone will not be sufficient. But maybe good fertile ground, isn't it? For the possibility. Right. And I do it every day like you do. Right. I do it every day. But it doesn't mean that that factor alone or for oneself, that factor alone for oneself. I wish it were otherwise. I wish it were otherwise. Well, this is now a problem, isn't it? I wish it were otherwise. It's a problem. And now we are in conflict, aren't we? We're in distress. We're in resistance. I wish it were otherwise. So it says, do not count on your wishes. Probably best. Understood. Count on your thoughts, your words, your deeds, and your quality of being. Does that make more sense, Kelly?
Yes. However, let's say you're in a state of reflection and looking back and wishing, here we go, wishing, looking at your deeds and thinking that they may not have been enough or been
Skillful.
misguided
Mhm.
or yeah, skillful, or maybe you didn't do enough here when you should have.
Yes.
And so then you can, using the mountains, you can get kind of in a self blame sort of situation for the storms.
Blame would be a movement of mind and a contraction of heart, wouldn't it? However, though, reflection useful because it is one of our wisdom factors. We know that actually looking back is useful and of benefit, isn't it, towards writing in this present moment, then our thought, words, and deeds, right? I go, whoops, a little lax on that one. Remember the lute, the metaphor of the lute, neither playing with strings too loose or too taut will play the beautiful song. And so reflection is good. The seeing clearly from the mountain view, not from me, the bad one, me, the failed, look at the meing and self-clinging nature, the failed one. How do I then look, gather the wisdom, return it, and maybe even, says the Buddha, by the way, feel skillful remorse, right? Out of wisdom, out of compassion, however, not out of blame, to go, ooh, that wasn't I've learned something actually from there and from its result, haven't I? I'm not going to be as lax. I'm not going to be as rigid. I'm right, because the result was not what I truly wholesomely desired. Wholesome desire different than wanting my way, right? And then I bring it here and say, with wholesome remorse, I am now more skillful, wiser, more loving, kind, and compassionate, both towards myself. Oops, no room for blame. I don't mean that, right? Room to also hold the blame without blaming, right? Do you know the difference? Can I hold the blame that I have about that without continuing the blaming? Which means I want to invite an open-heartedness. I could not know more or better in that moment. And I can in this one. So then I am no longer that self, right? I'm no longer that by the very nature that I see more spaciously. Oh, probably didn't get all that I wanted. Yes. Yeah. With a very bad start. Yeah, right. Looking and we appreciate the view, right? Don't we? We say this is a benefit, this is useful, right? Because haven't we all learned and can learn from the limitations, right? But blame we couldn't. Blame will not allow us the view. I will tell you, it will shorten your potential for using it skillfully, lovingly, and with wisdom. You won't have access because blame will get in its way. And it also defines us, doesn't it? Blame says, I am failed. This permanent, solid, fixed. Look at how long that is. Well, I had a child 39 years ago next month. And look at all the self-blame, loathing, hatred we propagate here so that we cannot see more clearly. We've now just solidified. That's the opposite of really what the mountain is. It's a solidifying oneself, not quite actually the qualities. The mountain abides all things, but isn't fixed. So I am not that. This is not me. It is a moment, though, right? That I can now invite and cultivate equanimity, wisdom, love, and compassion, beginning with myself. Beginning with myself. And then I offer that same spaciousness, that same stillness, don't I? That same love, compassion to others, as they will also make mistakes and get it wrong and even blame. Even when we are blamed by others, how do we remain blameless? Right? It's big work, because and then as parents, as leaders, right, we can take this on as ours, only right, my failure, my deficiency. We have to be watchful. Yes, Leslie.
Before you mentioned that wish, that maybe wish, it sounded a bit negative. but
Wishes are not sufficient.
With the seed of it for intention.
Yes, yes. I distinguish also blessings or wholesome wishes and desires. They're called wholesome desire for peace, right? All these things we're holding for well-being, for care. These are wholesome, understood to be wholesome. Why? They're not just about me. They're for us all, right? And so it's understood that the wholesome desires are intention foundations
Exactly, like a seed for
for intentions. Yes, they are. Yes. And we could call that for the vision of what is possible, right? The mountain view of this possibility of holding this. That's why the view is used. Here's another thought but thank you, Kelly, for that, because I think we can get lost in there. Rahula is the son of the Buddha. Rahula, develop meditation that is like the earth, for then agreeable or disagreeable sensory impressions will not take charge of the mind, right? The things we like, the things we don't like. Just as when people throw what is clean and unclean on the earth, feces, urine, saliva, pus, or blood, the Buddha loves these, brings these images. The earth is not horrified, not humiliated, not disgusted by it. In the same way, agreeable and disagreeable sense impressions will not take charge of your own mind when you develop a meditation being like the earth. And so then saliva, pus, urine, and feces, anybody who's a parent knows this, right? And what? You're just there. You're holding it. You're attending. You're caring. You're gentle. You're available. You are, right? Whatever the thing is, human, right? But we attend. We show up for it. We are not tainted, is a word commonly used in the suttas. We are not tainted by that reality, are we? We attend, we do the work, what needs to be done, and then we rest. You get this idea? Right. So whatever the dukkha, we can rest in a gentle, loving, compassionate, and ultimately wise attention. Then what? Being most skillful in its response. And then reactivity is not at play. And blame is understood, by the way, to be one of the strongest reactions. Blaming me or blaming you, right? Somebody's wrong. Somebody's deficient. Somebody blew it. Somebody's got to get it together. And it says no longer available to seeing clearly so as to act lovingly, skillfully, compassionately. We cannot access upaya, which is skillful action, without that view, seeing clearly everyone's contribution possible, right? Mine and yours, or mine, yours, and all that is at play, that is ultimately what do we know? Infinite? Infinite, honestly, beyond counting is the way it's understood, beyond being countable, the factors. But we attend to the ones we can. And that we require equanimity to do so. With equanimity. Do we get this?
So what's the difference? I think I get it. So what's the difference between and thinking that because there are people that do things that are unskillful. and
Yes.
brutal.
Yes.
So there's a difference of seeing that or believing that without believing.
Seeing that would be key. Believing, we wouldn't bring believing in. We would see clearly the causes and conditions, wouldn't we, for those actions. And then we could respond based on seeing the causes and conditions for unskillful action. Let's stay with that word, unskillful action. You know what I'm saying? So we can see clearly now, because we're not in blame, narrowed, contracted, right? Gripped, selfing and othering. We get a bad other here. The moment we have a bad other, we have already collapsed the view. They are unskillful. They are causing distress. So there are things like greed, hatred, and delusion that exist in our world. It's true. But once we establish bad, we now solidify that, just like Kelly did when she went, but maybe I'm to blame. Now there's nothing to respond to. We have fixed it. I am just failed. You are just failed. You are bad, saying bad, right? Now what? Where's the possibility for wisdom, skillful action, and response? It is no longer. That's how it is spoken. It is no longer. Get it? It's not available now. Because now the only thing I want is for you to go away, or be dead, or right. I'm going to aggress against you. I'm going to blame or reject you. What are we guaranteeing there, actually? You know, suffering. For who? Everybody. And I get goosebumps. We all lose. We're all lost in it. It doesn't mean it's wise, skillful, or a benefit. You wouldn't accuse somebody of that either, right? And what's the job? How can I then hold it in equanimity so that I can now bring wisdom, skillfulness, compassion, and equanimity to it? Then what? Transforming it. We know it. We know this. Transforming it completely. Do not mistake equanimity as passivity. Right? Don't mistake it. It is not passive. It is not unactionable. It is not, what do you do? Or, I gotta like you anyway. These are false, unidimensional, right? Aspects. It's harder than that. And what does Pema say? Remember that you too have been unskillful, that you too have been unkind, that you too have been aggressive. And then you hold all of us to begin with the understanding of, then can look, where did that come from in me? Where does my aggression come from? Where does my unskillfulness come from? Fear, pain, right? Where does my hatred come from? Right? And if we can't do the exchange, we're lost. Aren't we? We're all lost. And as I have been lost. Right? Lost. Like I can't sort this out at all because you are just the other. You are just the enemy. You are just the bad, wrong, unskillful, deficient one. And it's so tempting. Isn't it? So tempting. That blame, self and other. Right? It's like if only I could get rid of one of us, this could be okay. And by the way, we are non-discriminating often on who should go. Sometimes me, sometimes you. Right? If I could only get it together, this could have been okay. Well, if you could have only gotten it together, this could be okay. Well, that is from the Buddha's point of view, by the way. He said, this is a ridiculous inquiry because it has already occurred. It is a ridiculous inquiry. How do I undo? Well, no. How do I recognize what has been done, the factors that are present, and then attend to them? I cannot not do, not have. Here, there it is. The word spoken, the action taken, right? So there won't be a fix by if I could only undo it. But how can I now respond to it? By seeing clearly first what is here. You get what I'm saying? And that's transformative, as we know. We know this, don't you? You know the moment where you just held yourself or another. And often without language, often without a solution, often without resolution. There was going to be no fix. It wasn't like we were going to get out of this thing, right, at all. It's then how do we hold each other, beginning with oneself, says the teachings, because without your stability, without your compassion, without your kindness, without your equanimity, you cannot be that source for another. Not truly. Right? Now, it doesn't mean you didn't act well. I'm a therapist. I got this down. Doesn't mean you didn't say the right thing. But what? Within. The jangle, the scramble, the do something of it will keep us from it. Truly keep us from it. So we understand. And then how to practice. Establish oneself solid on the earth. Solid on the earth, right? The meditation I did with my little 10-year-old friend. Solid on the earth. And we remember, don't we all, the lines, the phrases that, oops, I think I just killed us. Possibly, I apologize. Still there? Okay. And so it was written, and then the Buddha placed his hand on the earth, and the earth shook in acknowledgement that this is a place for you. You are entitled. This is rightly your seat on the earth. Now, it doesn't mean, though, and this is where I think we get into confusion, that this ground gets to be just your ground. And we're in going to be possibly a world in conflict, aren't we, over that? And then how do we each share that place, this place that has been made for you and me? And how do we do that? And we're confused, aren't we? Well, this is my ground. This is my seat. This is only mine. This is not right. And then we will destroy ourselves and each other, as we know. Okay. So we have a couple things happening, and then we're going to do our final sit. The couple things we have happening are that Leslie is here from Israel and is homeless a bit, right? The truth is, we all are in some way, but this then becomes real when I don't even know if I can go back home. I don't know if she's from living in Israel with her family. Don't know if I can go back there. Are they back there yet? They can't either. So they are homeless. This is the truth.
And they don't want to go back like me.
Yes. Until we have at least some sense of that. So this
Yeah.
feeling of no refuge, no safety, no shelter, and no protection, right? Which leaves us really in a swirl. And so we're going to hold that with Leslie because, and do our best to offer some sense of stable ground for you here.
This, what you did today was a beautiful offering.
Good. I'm glad that you could feel that. And then we have these infinite other realities. We have Carrie's daughter, Connie, who is going to be going to Kuwait next Friday. And will be there for at least I think it's 6 months. 6 months. This is also terrifying. I don't know if Kuwait was a great place, 3 weeks ago either. It is now more scarier and more dangerous. And the truth is, right, we know this. And so we're going to hold Carrie and Connie, her daughter, who's in the military as well, right? And then I'd like you to think for a moment of others, yourself and others in our vulnerability, in our moment of fear, of instability, and in our genuine wish and desire for safety, deserving of protection. Of peace. And then may we be the shelter. May our own stillness, our own spaciousness, our own vast, wide, open embrace for ourselves and for others will be a place of refuge. And then if you'd put your hands together with me, we're going to recite the Bodhisattva vow, not only for ourselves, but for all beings in instability, in fear, in illness, in aloneness, in hunger, in war. May I be a guard for those who seek protection, a guide for those on the path, a boat, a raft, a bridge, for those who wish to cross the flood. May I be a lamp in the darkness, a resting place for the weary, a healing medicine for all who are sick, a vase of plenty, a tree of miracles. And for the boundless multitudes of living beings, may I bring sustenance and awakening, enduring like the earth and the sky, until all beings are free from sorrow and all are awakened. May we all have happiness and the causes for happiness. May we all be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May we be happy for the happiness of not only ourselves, but others. And may we rest and dwell in the vast, open, boundless space of equanimity, free from greed, free from aggression and hatred, and free from our self-clinging ignorance. And may our practice today contribute, and may it continue until all beings are free, peaceful, and happy. So be it. Thank you all for your presence, your practice, for being here, and for what you will bring to the world this day and every day. Thank you. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you, Tanya. Be well, everyone.
Me too. Thank you.
Please.